Netflix finally released a long-awaited adaptation for the new Ghost in the Shell installment to the franchise. If this news is alien to you, let me quickly get on the same page. Production IG, the studio responsible for the entire franchise, collaborated with Netflix to make a new Ghost in the Shell series, which should technically be the 3rd or 4th season of standalone Complex. Technically. Now, unlike the previous standalone Complex anime, this new entry is made in full 3D CG. Netflix and CG anime hadn't had the best relationship in the past. Okay, they never had a good relationship ever, but they're still persistent and choose to offer us a brand new 3D installment in the Ghost in the Shell franchise.
Yay!
So as I was saying, the new installment released a few days ago on Netflix, and well, I would like to say it doesn't look as jarring as most people say. It definitely has obvious issues and it's certainly not great, but fuck me, just look at this. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, but seriously, what in the god's name is this? When the first trailer for this new installment released a few months ago, a lot of people, myself included, were dissatisfied with the idea of it being full 3D, and while I would say it's understandable, I wouldn't necessarily say that the 3D itself is that big of a deal. The type of story Ghost in the Shell has works well in 3D, just look at the Innocence movies. But the style they use in this one is questionable at best. It has the same art style as a mobile game and I'm not even exaggerating. Initially I went into more details regarding the art and animation, but I figured that everyone has eyes. You've seen stuff, played stuff, the footage speaks for itself. The art is unfitting and they just don't know how to animate characters. They can't even get them to talk properly. Are you kidding me? Everyone seems to have a broken jaw. If you think I'm talking nonsense, please be my guest and watch at least 10 minutes of the first episode. On the other hand, the background aesthetics are fairly good. Everything that's not a character has decent animation, still looks like a cutscene from a game, but I suppose we could get used to them at the end of the day. But I think the biggest disappointment is Motoko's design. She looks like a typical cutesy anime girl that belongs in a high school rom-com. She seems so small, soft and cute, I'm just unable to take her seriously. A badass in a dystopian future? What? Go back to your high school lesson, little one. The Mage always had that imposing aura. One look at her design and you'd instantly get the vibe that she's a cool and badass character. Even in the Arise version, arguably the worst version, she maintains some of that aura. Some of it. But Netflix made her look like a generic anime teenager, which I don't understand why. Maybe they're trying to appeal to a new group of people because I can't see how current fans would get behind it. But at least the outfit looks pretty good, very reminiscent to her outfit in Standalone Complex Season 2, which was also my favorite. Also the shades from her design are almost perfect, the body anatomy is on point, is very detailed overall, but she looks like a teenager. If she wasn't meant to be the major, then I don't think there would be an issue. The design looks good, I really like it, but not when it's supposed to be the major. And going down this spiral of lost hope, we reach her voice. I love Tanaka Atsuko's voice. She will always be the major for me and she has done an incredible job at voicing this character throughout many years and will most likely keep doing it. But the discrepancy between her voice and Major's new design is just too jarring. It doesn't fit at all. It's a mature voice that would normally work incredibly well for Motoko, but not for this kid. It's way too unfitting, I just can't make the connection between her voice and this design. I hope I'm not crazy. But despite the PS2 CG and the cute anime teenager design, there's also a bright side to this spiral of lost hope. I think we can collectively agree that Standalone Complex is the best part of the franchise, and what this new entry has is Kenji Kamiyama, the same writer-director as Standalone Complex. Fortunately enough, he didn't get rusty and managed, for the most part, to keep the story interesting, packed with action and a few twists. It is by no means great, I'd say it's rather underwhelming for the Ghost in the Shell standards, but it's fine overall. It's paced fairly well and the narrative has a strong progression. The last episode even ends on a big cliffhanger that, in all honesty, left me quite intrigued. This is definitely the biggest strength this installment has, or the only strength. But that's it. The Major is pretty much treated like a side character for the most part, which, again, very questionable decision. She's the face of the franchise. Every Ghost in the Shell fan loves her. Why not take advantage of that? We get some new characters that, I'm gonna be honest, you could remove them from the show and nothing would change, nothing at all. As for the other familiar characters, and when I say familiar I mean the appearances, because their personalities have been twisted too far from what was established in the previous installments. This guy right here, remember him? Togusa, the family man, is now divorced. The only person from section 9 who's been showcased and developed as a human element and had a loving wife to go back home to? Yeah, screw that. Bato loves wars for war's sake? They shouldn't be called standalone complex if the characters ignore what happened in the previous installments. But if we treat it like an independent show rather than a sequel, then at least Bato and Togusa are solid characters. Togusa is especially very compelling, I'll give credit where credit is due. Anyway, technically speaking, the show looks fine. Motogo's design also looks fine, actually I quite like it, it just doesn't fit in the Ghost in the Shell franchise. I think if at least the Major had a more loyal design, they could perhaps get away with the PS2 CG, because the story itself is fairly good. It does start kind of terrible but picks up, and by the end it might even get invested. But we shouldn't have to sit through low quality CG, also horrible soundtrack by the way, and that wacky animation just for a fairly good story. I hope Netflix would try harder when it comes to well established franchises. By the way, have you guys noticed that the main villain is Ilya fucking Kushinov self-insert? That's the guy responsible for the designs. And me right now. Don't even get me started on how every single woman has short hair. I'm not here to judge his art, but picking a guy who's not very versatile and quite limited in his designs isn't a great choice, is it? Also for me, self-inserting yourself as a main villain is fucking embarrassing. But well, Netflix strikes again. For every good adaptation we get 10 failures. Ghost in the Shell, unfortunately, is one of those 10.